I think I can afford probably one more statement from probably the people in support. I hate to label it that way, but we've had 3 people in opposition. Let's hear somebody in support one more time, and then I'll make a couple of comments and we'll move on to the next item. Is that Shorty? Well, I've got several people raising their hand. Shorty, come up to the microphone, and I'll probably get drug into one on each side, despite my best efforts to move us along.
I just got one thing to say. 64 years old. Started smoking when I was 16. I tried the patches, I tried the gum, I tried it all except for the Shantex. The reason I didn't try it was because of the possible side effects, and I know myself. So when I got turned on to the e-cigarette, I still smoked while I was using it. But then there come a time that I said, that's it, told my wife, I ain't buying no more cigarettes. Haven't smoked cigarettes since February 27th. But I breathe better than I've breathed in a long time. I have COPD, been diagnosed with, being treated for it. But the thing of it is, like the gentleman said, the reason I'm here and most of us is here is because of our rights. And yes, you're right, it comes down, and I'm on your side. It's the store selling money because it's a business, but it's also on the other side, they're selling that to help us get off tobacco. They've targeted e-cigarettes just for the money. Not to help us, nothing. All they want to do is say you can't do it. They're saying cigarettes, tobacco smoke, bad for you. Use this vapor, get off of it. If you want to be on an equal and a level playing field, offer us something that helps us get off tobacco, and then get your $42,000.
I think what I'm going to do now is go ahead and just end the discussion for the evening. Park, was that your way of saying you wanted to chime in?
If you'd like.
Mayor?
It depends.
Mayor, we have a youth that wants to speak in support. We didn't get a chance to go with the pro because of the pro, so.
Come on up, and then I'm going to be fair. There's nobody walking out of this room saying I gave 5 to 1 and 4 to the other. We'll hear from the other side one more time too. And go ahead. I'll wait.
Thank you. My name is Allie Nolan. I'm a senior at Keys High School. I understand both sides of the argument, and I understand that there are benefits to the e-cigarettes, and I understand that it is helping many people to get off of cigarettes. However, I think you guys are ignoring an integral part of this argument, and the fact is the e-cigarettes, they can be abused by people, and I believe, like I see students in my high school who abuse e-cigarettes. And the problem is, I think by using them in public places is promoting the use of them to middle school and high school students, because they are, like, we're seeing them in use in public places. I have 2 students in my college class that use them in class. And I mean, the thing is, that is promoting the use of these, and I know you guys say there aren't tobacco products. However, I mean, if they have nicotine in it, I can't see how that's not a tobacco product. But it is promoting the use to students. And I respect your guys' right to be able to use these e-cigarettes. And I think that's part of the argument you're also ignoring. We're not trying to take away, or they're not trying to take away your right to use these cigarettes. They're simply asking you to not use them in public and in front of high school, middle school students who are very susceptible to influence from adults. Thank you.
Mr. Giese, go ahead. Please come to the microphone. You look like you're at the edge of your seats. There's the aisle there, so we can wait on you to come on up. My counsel will kill me if I don't move us along at some point, so try to be brief.
Thank you, Mayor, Alvin Council. I'm a public health educator at the university. My name is Mark Giese. And your job is always, in these issues, to balance civil rights with the health rights of the community. That's what you're going to be faced with tonight. I looked up under PubMed, there are 1,351 articles out there today on e-cigarettes. There is no clear way where they're leaning. This is with health research. There is no clear way where they're leaning. So if you have to lean one way or the other tonight, would you not want to err on the side of caution and err on the side of community health?
How about liberty and freedom? I'll take that.
Very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and just make a few comments to clarify. The counselor is correct, she was asking, this is a discussion item only, there will be no decision this evening. I also want to make sure to make it absolutely clear that this would only affect buildings like this one and parks that the city owns. It's not something that would put any of the shops out of business. That's not to take aside, because I will also reiterate that again, this was something that came from Oklahoma City, and yes, after educating myself with a few people involved in the health profession and the other side of the equation and everything else, it seems clear that the state probably got a little ahead of themselves in tying funding to this particular issue, because there's not enough data to say one way or the other, as Mr. Giese said. So I do want to beat up on the state, since they're not really here, and tell them that this is all their fault. But we were asked, and we brought this forward because we try to be as responsive as we can to every citizen or group's concerns. We had one come to us from the local, I'm going to get this wrong probably, the Cherokee County Communities of Excellence Tobacco, Control Coalition. If any of you were to bring something to us, we would put it forward just as readily, and I want that on the record, because I don't want this council, the city as an organization, or myself for that matter, a little bit of self-defense here. I don't want anyone to ever think that any of us would try to simply drink something like this up, and again, to use Ms. Choke's word, cram it down your throat. Ma'am, we're going to move along. We're going to end the discussion for the evening. Do you have one question?
One question.
I will try to answer the question.
Doesn't the ordinance also say any public or private entity that is a workplace? That is not just city thing from what I saw.
We have to clarify that, and I'll let the attorney do it. I heard him move his microphone. That's my cue to shut up. So. Were you going to clarify?
Let me kind of throw out my legal analysis on this, and I, with all due respect for both sides, and I don't have a stake in the outcome of this. I don't smoke. That's, in my estimation, what we're talking about are two equivalencies. One is nicotine that is obtained by way of a cigarette, a tobacco cigarette. The other is a vaporized device. I don't think you can call the vaporized device a tobacco product, because it doesn't contain it. You clap all you like. It's a nicotine delivery device, as is a tobacco cigarette. And to me, the issue isn't clean air or not clean air. The issue is, can the city and should the city diminish nicotine delivery devices or eliminate them on city-owned property? And any arguments to the contrary, I feel like, on a medical level, are going to fail. So I just throw that out for consideration, because I haven't heard anyone advance that argument. It's all been about bad example for children. It's been about clean air or not clean air, but the key, in my estimation, is they are both nicotine delivery devices. Nicotine is a drug. It is bad for you. And I think, alcohol. Yeah. Well, we don't let people drink except under limited circumstances. Well, I'm not making this point to argue. I do that from 8 to 5.
You really didn't answer the question. She didn't answer.
I think that's something that's worth consideration for both sides, whether you're for or against the electronic smoking devices on public property. They along with cigarettes, are nicotine delivery devices.
Well, Mark, very quickly, this ordinance, as written clearly, because it mimics state law and everything else, does not affect anything other than city-owned property.
That is correct. And
Taxpayer property.
in,
It's the parks.
Sure,
as far
taxpayer
as
property.
legal analysis,
Sidewalks.
No, those don't apply.
I think
Right,
we-
you need to put that in this ordinance rather than the way you've written it.
Well, let me ask this question, just to, would that satisfy you? There you go. So, we're telling you that it does apply, and it does not.
Heafier than this stuff, I'll tell you.
Or does it apply to streets and roads?
Parks.
No.
Well,
The way it's written says city-owned property, it does not specify parks
Well-
only or.
the city doesn't own rights of way.
Right.
The city is the ministerial entity over a property that's owned by the general public. So in my estimation, just thinking out loud here, if this ordinance were to be allowed, that a person could go into the right-of-way adjacent to Norris Park and use the electronic smoking device, but they would not be allowed to do it in Norris Park or City Hall or otherwise.
So what is a private entity, public and private entity that you're going to forbid tobacco? And what do you mean by possession of the e-cigarette?
These are questions, so we'll try to
Yeah, and
answer them.
I think the language needs to be tightened up also.
You might like to look over when you're trying to provide it. These are just questions.
Yeah, I think that calling it a tobacco product may not be entirely accurate.
Well, and I've made perfectly clear in Facebook posts and everything else that I'd be willing to entertain whatever language changes that would make you comfortable on that point. I'm not trying to take a side for or against, but if that is a concern, I'm willing to listen to anything that would clarify that.
Well, if
So-
we're not gonna call it a tobacco product, then what is it we're banning from the parks? And city places?
Well, that was my point. It's a nicotine delivery device. We can call it whatever you want to. At the end of the equation,
So then
both
that-
devices supply nicotine.
so
Well,
based on your-
I
based
do, hold on,
your-
sir, we are going to have to move along. We can have,
That's pretty important.
and that's why it'll be a second set of discussion in 2 weeks. So if there is one more person from the opposing side that would like to make a statement to equal things out, I'll grant that. Go ahead, sir.
I just have one short little paragraph here. And this is, what's it from? Okay. Contrary to popular belief, nicotine is not the cancer-causing agent in cigarettes. A 2-year study on lab mice found there to be no harmful effects of nicotine when given in its pure form by inhalation. If nicotine were the culprit in cigarettes, we're pretty sure the FDA would have never approved any NRT gums, patches, or inhalers. It is still poisonous when ingested in large quantities, and they mean huge quantities. So make sure your e-liquids are used properly and kept out of the reach of children.
Thank you, sir. And very quickly, just to your point, we're not trying to stifle discussion at all. It's just a matter of practicality that we need to move along. These counselors and myself will take, you can come visit me tomorrow. I'm in my office. They have email addresses and mailing addresses and phone numbers. Feel free to let us know what you think on the issue. We are not closed-minded at all.
For
Okay?
consideration, he did clarify and state that it's more about nicotine delivery.
Sure.
We could be searching for patches at some point.
I don't think we'll have a patch detection device at the door of City Hall. Thank you all for being here this evening, and we will have another round of discussion in 2 weeks. We appreciate your time.